Are all can openers the same, or are some actually better than others? And what about safety can openers? Are they really safer? And are electric ones worth it? To answer these questions and find out which can opener is truly the best, I tested the top 10 models across all types. With each one, I opened small cans of tomato paste, medium cans of beans, and large cans of crushed tomatoes. I took note of how easily each opener bites into the can, how smooth and effortless it is to turn the knob, how many cranks it takes to get all the way around, and whether it leaves behind a sharp or jagged lid. I also paid attention to how messy the process was, how easy the lid was to remove, and how loud the electric models were. To test durability, I dropped each opener twice from table height onto a concrete floor, once on the handle side and once on the blade side. Then I opened more cans to see if the drops affected performance. To get a second opinion, I hired another tester to run the exact same tests. All in, we opened more than 70 cans. In this video, I'll quickly go through my test results and show you which can openers are worth buying and which ones you should avoid. I'll start with the least expensive and end with the most expensive. EZ-DUZ-IT is made in the USA, and it's ranked the best overall can opener by the New York Times and runner-up by America's Test Kitchen. The large metal knob provides good leverage and turns with minimal effort. It's noticeably heavier than the other manual openers I tested, which gives it a more durable feel. It takes about 10 cranks to open a medium can, which is on par with the other traditional openers. There was no damage from the drops, and it performed perfectly fine in each test. On the negative side, the handles rattle a bit, and the knob isn't as smooth as some of the others. And because it cuts from the top, it leaves behind a sharp, jagged edge, and the lid drops into the can. OXO Lock Go is a manual can opener with a locking mechanism that clamps onto the can so you don't have to keep squeezing it while you turn. It also has a small magnet that lifts the lid off once you're done cutting, which is a nice touch. When it's locked in properly, it turns smoothly and requires very little effort, which is great if you have to open a lot of cans. But there's one big problem with the locking feature. Before I get into that, I want to quickly thank Uncommon Goods for sponsoring this video. Shopping for gifts can be stressful, but Uncommon Goods makes it much easier to find gifts that are thoughtful, personal, and something that the person you're giving them to actually want. Their site is basically a hub for gift giving. You can browse by category, interest, age, price, and even by your relationship to the person you're buying for. The filtering and sorting features make it a lot easier to find the perfect gift. They've got everything from personalized art to unique housewarming gifts to educational and fun things for kids. If you love cooking or entertaining, there are a ton of creative options. I also really like these college campus glasses, which are a thoughtful gift for any alumni or sports fan. On top of that, every purchase supports independent artists and small businesses, and Uncommon Goods donates $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. So if you're still not sure what to get this holiday season, check out the link in the video description to get 15% off your next gift at uncommongoods.com. So I mentioned that the locking feature has a major issue. More than once, it popped off the can mid-turn and I had to reattach it. It's not just me, it happened with the other tester, and if you search for reviews online, it's the most common complaint. Once it's cutting, it performs fine, and it survived my drop test, but the main feature and the selling point of this opener is also its biggest flaw. KitchenAid Classic is a manual can opener with rounded handles and a smooth, easy-turning knob. It feels smoother than the EZ-DUZ-IT, and there's no rattling when you move it around. The handles don't open up very wide, so lining it up on a can can feel a bit tight at first, but once it's attached, it bites in easily. Just like the EZ-DUZ-IT, it cuts from the top, which results in a sharp lid, and the plastic knob feels a little bit cheaper than the metal ones. But it didn't break, and it worked fine after being dropped on both sides. I've owned this opener for several years, and it still works great, but the gears will rust if you leave it wet. And that's true for most stainless steel can openers. Drying them completely after washing is the only way to really prevent it. The OXO Soft-Handled can opener has a classic design with the brand's signature grippy handles. It's sturdy and well built with no looseness or rattling. It was named the best overall by both Serious Eats and America's Test Kitchen. And after testing, it's easy to see why. It bites in cleanly, it cranks smoothly through the can, and the handle is comfortable. After dropping it twice onto concrete, it showed no damage and worked exactly the same. My one complaint, like the others I've shown you so far, it cuts from the top so you get a sharp edge and the lid falls into the can. The Amazon Basics electric can opener also includes a bottle opener and a knife sharpener. But the main reason you buy this is to open cans with minimal effort. Once you press the lever down, the blade bites into the lid and starts cutting. When it's done, you lift the lever and the magnet lifts the lid while the can drops away. It's easy to use, it doesn't tip even with large 28-ounce cans, and it was the second quietest of the 4 electric models I tested, at about 74 decibels. It also has the longest cord of any opener I tested at 36 inches. The cutting assembly pops off so you can wipe it down, but you need to be careful since the blade is fully exposed. On the negative side, it leaves behind a sharp, bent lid, and the lid drips when you remove the can. Smaller cans can take a couple of tries to attach properly, and I'm not a fan of the cord storage in the back. You basically have to stuff the cord in and hope it doesn't pop out. The Cuisinart Deluxe operates almost the same as Amazon Basics. The main differences are that it doesn't include a knife sharpener or bottle opener, the cord is shorter at 26 inches instead of 36, and it's slightly quieter at about 69 decibels. One thing to watch out for with this and the Amazon model is when you lift the lever after cutting. You need to have a firm grip on the can or it can spill. I learned that the hard way with a can of crushed tomatoes. Other than that, it's sturdy, easy to use, and the cord storage in the back is much neater than Amazon's. The Kuhn Rikon safety can opener cuts around the outer edge of the lid instead of through the top, so there's no sharp edges and you can place the lid back on the can afterward. It's a cleaner, safer design that keeps both the lid and the can completely smooth. The trade-off is that it feels different from a standard opener. Because it cuts from the side instead of puncturing down into the lid, you don't get that same feedback when it first engages. It usually takes a couple of turns to know you're actually cutting, and it needs about 13 turns to get around a medium can, which is 3 more than a traditional opener. It also takes more effort to crank. When you're done, the lid doesn't pop off on its own. You need to peel it back using the small grabber. And sometimes it feels slightly sticky or resistant because the opener cuts through a food-safe sealant that holds the lid onto the can. It's harmless, but it can leave behind a few thin glue strings when you lift the lid. This type of opener takes a couple of tries to get used to, but once you do, it's precise, safe, and mess-free, and it showed no damage or performance issues after the drop test. The OXO Smooth Edge can opener works almost the same way as the Kuhn Rikon. It cuts along the side instead of through the top, so there are no sharp lids. Like the Kuhn Rikon, there's no real feedback when it first connects, so it can take a couple of tries to line it up right. It also takes more effort to turn than a traditional can opener. There are 3 main differences between this OXO opener and the Kuhn Rikon. OXO cuts slightly lower on the rim, which makes the lid edge even duller. The handle has a soft, grippy texture that feels more secure in your hand, and the pincher that grabs the lid feels sturdier and springy, so you get clearer feedback when you press the button. It held up perfectly in the drop test and consistently made the smoothest, safest cuts of any manual opener I tested. The Kitchen Mama is a handheld electric can opener that runs on 4 AA batteries. You place it on the top of the can, press a button, and it spins around the rim. You have to pay attention and press the button again to stop it, otherwise it keeps spinning. I like that it cuts from the side, so the lid is not sharp and you can place it back on the can. It's cordless, compact, and fits easily in a drawer. The blade never touches food, so there's nothing to clean. That said, the downsides are significant. First, it's incredibly slow. It takes about 30 seconds to open a medium can. The other electric models opened it in 8 seconds. It's also the second loudest of the 4 electric models I tested. Because it spins on top, dented or small cans can cause problems. Mine worked fine, but the other tester couldn't get it to open the small can of tomato paste, even after multiple attempts. There are also dozens of reports of units breaking or becoming inconsistent after a few months. That didn't happen to me, but it's a risk you take with a small battery-powered kitchen gadget like this. The Hamilton Beach Smooth Touch electric can opener is sleek looking and simple to use. Start with the lever up, place the can underneath, press it down to lock it in place, and then press a little more to start cutting. When you're done, let go to stop and lift the lever to release the can. It cuts the side of the lid so the edges are completely smooth with no sharp spots. I like that the lid stays attached instead of being lifted off by a magnet like the Cuisinart and Amazon Basics electric openers. It prevents drips and keeps things cleaner. The downsides are that it's the loudest electric opener I tested at about 83 decibels, and it's the heaviest at 3 pounds. I didn't have any issues with small cans, but the other tester did. He tried several times, and it attached and spun normally, but it didn't actually cut through the lid. So after all that testing, which can opener should you buy? Before I give you my take, just a quick heads up that I've linked to all of the can openers in the video description if you want to check them out. So the first thing you need to decide is which type makes the most sense for you. Traditional manual can openers are simple, familiar, and effective. They open cans quickly with relatively little effort, but you have to keep squeezing the handles while you turn, and they always leave behind a sharp, jagged lid that drops into the can. Safety can openers solve the sharp lid problem completely, and you can put the lid back on to store leftovers. But they take more effort to crank, they can be tricky to attach properly, and it's not always obvious when they've actually cut through. Electric can openers take virtually no effort, but smaller cans can trip them up, they have more components that can break over time, and they're more expensive. If you go with an electric model, it's a good idea to keep a manual one around as a backup. In the traditional manual category, my favorite is the OXO Soft-Handled. It has a comfortable, grippy handle, it bites in cleanly, it turns smoothly, and it feels solid. That said, the differences between the top traditional openers were minimal. The only one you should definitely avoid is the OXO Lock Go, since the locking mechanism frequently pops off the can mid-turn. If sharp lids are a deal breaker for you, OXO Smooth Edge is the best safety opener. It left the smoothest edge on the lid, and the soft grip handle and sturdy pincher make it slightly better than Kuhn Rikon. In the electric can opener category, my favorite was the Hamilton Beach Smooth Touch. It gives you the smooth, safe lid of a safety opener without the extra effort the manual ones require. Cuisinart and Amazon Basics are decent, but I don't recommend the Kitchen Mama. It's incredibly slow, loud, it struggles with smaller cans, and it has tons of reports of units breaking after a few months. If you're looking to upgrade your kitchen beyond just a can opener, check out this video where I review the best air fryers, or this video where I test and rank the best food storage containers. And for more videos like this, click the logo to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.